Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Sal, and this is another expedition log. Today's expedition takes us out to Monongalia County in Morgantown, West Virginia. We'll be taking a look at a mall that is very much steeped in late 70s and early 80s aesthetic. So much so that I consider the mall to be preserved in time. So today we get to travel back into the 1970s and to the early 80s to an entity preserved in its catafalque. The aesthetic language of this mall is preserved inside of a box that hasn't been touched since the 80s. And while its purpose for traditional consumerism may be dead today, it found a place in the world among mixed-use properties. And this mall I consider not to be dead at all. Quite the opposite. This mall is thriving. And it can serve as a gold standard for malls that need to repurpose. So come take a walk with me in the Mountaineer Mall in Morgantown, West Virginia. Right after a word from our sponsor, Lum's Restaurant, and spokesperson, Milton Berle.
I am crazy about Lum's Gourmet Burger, green peppers, mushrooms. I love the olive burger. Don't nobody move until I get my bacon burger. All Lum's burgers are cooked to order. All choice beef. Maybe Lum's will name one after me.
Say you already have, Mr. Burrow. That's why they're called hamburgers.
Lum's, no one else will give you more.
On May 7th, 1974, it was announced that the Laurel Development Company of Latrobe, Pennsylvania would put up $1 million in cash to secure a $9 million loan through Equibank. Equibank would provide interim financing for the construction of Laurel's Mountaineer Mall in Monongalia County, Morgantown, West Virginia. The grand opening and ribbon cutting of the 508,000 square foot mall was in October of 1975. The original anchor tenants were Montgomery Ward's and Murphy Mart, with an outparcel Giant Eagle food store in the parking lot at grand opening. This corridor that we're in right now, this actually wasn't there when the mall was first built. On November 12, 1975, in volume 76, number 271 of the Beckley Post-Herald, Emil J. Hodel published the details of their opportunity to visit the Mountaineer Mall less than 1 month after the ribbon cutting. Emil stated that the third senior anchor would be JCPenney's, but they delayed opening until after Christmas. In the article, Emil wrote, "We heard that the new mall there was not doing any too well, and that many of the store owners were disappointed. That made us curious to see what the difference may be between the Mountaineer Mall there and the Raleigh Mall here. There are still several smaller stores that are not opened up there. However, those which are operating are rather impressive, as to appearance, and there were quite a few customers, though the place was not jammed at all. However, the Mountaineer Mall location is quite poor as we view it. It is not on a main highway, nor near the interstate. It is on a poor road, which is not much of a perimeter bypass between the southern outskirts and the eastern outskirts of Morgantown. It is known as the Green Bag Road. Then, in addition, the whole thing sits way up above the road, with a high fill out to a steep bank beside the road in order to have a sizable parking area. As a result, the whole shopping center is hidden from view from the road, and there are only a couple of signs for the Murphy and Montgomery Ward stores to indicate in any way that there is something up there. So even 1 month after the mall was open, it wasn't looking so hot. This ramp is one of the most unique things I've seen in a mall. Accessible ramps most of the time are just flat ramps that are at an incline, but you don't usually see these waves. When I was doing my research for this mall, I got curious about what the term Monongalia meant. The word Monongalia is actually the Latinized form of the name of the river, the Monongahela River. And Monongahela was an Algonquin term which means high banks fall down. So I can't help but think that the designers, when they were designing that ramp, took that into consideration, because it certainly does look like high banks of a river flowing down to lower banks. Super fascinating stuff. While at a 97% occupancy, including places like Radio Shack, GNC, and this awesome looking vintage place on the right here that used to be a Lum's restaurant. That's our sponsor for this film. Aladdin's Castle, Record Bar, Fashion Bug, and of course Wiener World. On February 6th, 1978, while all these places were there and the mall was packed with tenants, First Union Real Estate Investment of Cleveland, they ponied up $4 million against a $10 million loan, and they purchased the mall. While Wiener World is no longer, Hometown Hot Dogs is still at the Mountaineer Mall to this day. I actually went and stopped there, and it was pretty good. Shortly after the mall changed hands, the Giant Eagle moved from the parking lot of Mountaineer down the hill with direct access off of Green Bag Road. For years and into the mid-80s, the mall was thriving and near full occupancy, and it was the central hub for shopping, as nearby residents would have to take the 60-mile trek out to Pittsburgh for more shopping options. In 1985, G.C. Murphy was acquired by Ames Department Stores, and the Murphy Mart underwent a transformation to an Ames. About a year later, on September 6, 1986, First Union announced an ambitious plan. They revealed an $8.3 million project to add a new 64,000 square foot Stone & Thomas department store as the fourth anchor, along with a proposed 95,000 square feet of additional retail space. They said the existing space would also undergo a major interior modernization. The project turned out to be smaller scale, and work was completed in 1987, complete with mercury vapor bulbs in the modern wing, which gave it, and many other old mall concourses from the time, that green tint that we've become so fond of. In 1990, only minutes away by car and right across the Monongahela River, the $70 million Morgantown Mall was built. It was dubbed the New Mall by locals. This place marked an unfortunate turning point for the Mountaineer Mall. The new mall is easier to find and more accessible due to its convenient location directly off of Interstate 79. Its allure was powerful enough to seduce J.C. Penney to leave Mountaineer and become an anchor tenant at Morgantown. This marked the first all-out loss of a senior anchor at the old mall. The direct and aggressive competition of Morgantown quickly took a toll at Mountaineer. The J.C. Penney space sat vacant for 3 years and was occupied in 1993 by U.S. factory outlets. In January of 1994, Ames shuttered, and Mountaineer Mall management decided to fully commit to a new, value-based strategy.
Traveling through a dimension both of sound and ideas, we're at a place where the mind can comprehend and devise a solar radio, a wireless transmitter. measured time and light. 65 electronic projects brought to reality with this science fair kit. Astonishing, perhaps, but you can find it for Christmas for $17.95 in a place that's known as Radio Shack.
Radio, stereos, recorders, everything inside.
The old Ames was partially demolished, along with surrounding outparcels, to make way for a new 126,000 square foot Walmart, which opened in February of 1994. The Waltons chose to deny their shoppers entrance to the mall concourse, and instead you had to walk all the way around the Walmart in the parking lot to get back inside the mall. Also part of their new value-based model, the mall gained a Goodwill, a dollar store, and small consignment shops. In 1996, U.S. factory outlets closed, and on October 13, 1996, classified newspaper listings showed department store Gabriel Brothers seeking store managers and assistant store managers at the brand new Gabe's at Mountaineer. I was blown away by how clean this mall was, and how immaculate it's been preserved. I mean, look at the Lums, the old Lums. It's pristine, and it's not been touched. There's no graffiti, there's no vandalism. It's a respectful place, and I do think that it's in part due to the fact that the senior center is open. I think if the senior center were to close, the interior mall access would be closed too. But at least there's a payphone in there, in case. Now, when I was there, I did see the gentleman that was keeping the place clean, and I stopped to talk to him, and he did give me permission to use what he said on camera, but the footage didn't turn out so hot. He was super nice, and he was really passionate about the job, and you can tell by how clean this place was. So props to him and the management for keeping this place super spotless. Stone & Thomas went insolvent in 1998 and was acquired by Elder Beerman, who had a location at the new mall already, but they chose to keep both open. The next year, Montgomery Ward announced that it would be dissolving 39 locations by May 1st, 1999, including the termination of the Mountaineer store and the careers of its 112 employees. On July 1st, 1999, Yeager Management of Maple Shade, New Jersey, and their affiliate GP Properties of Philly purchased the Mountaineer Mall for $11 million as a part of their widespread mall acquisitions. At the turn of the millennium, Mountaineer Management ushered in an era of mixed-use tenants with Teletech, a company who helps other businesses to manage their interactions with customers. They moved into Montgomery Wards, but by the mid-aughts, occupancy was well below 50% and falling. Walmart vacated in 2006, and 2 years later, with the departure of Gabe's and Elder Beerman, so too was lost the last breath of traditional retail at the Mountaineer Mall. Here's our final view of the modern wing. Remember those mercury vapor bulbs that I told you about that got the green tinge over time? I mean, how cool is this place? Look at those lights, this is amazing. It's a time capsule. With Mylan Pharmaceuticals now occupying not only the old JCPenney's and Walmart buildings, along with some space in between coupled with Senior Monongalians, which is a senior center, a gym, a children's daycare, an antique gallery, and a rehabilitation center, not to mention Teletech. For the first time in nearly 40 years, the mall is approaching 90% occupancy. This may lead as a gold standard for how to properly repurpose a mall when all was seemingly lost. I'd like to thank every one of you for watching this film and for supporting the channel, for supporting me on Twitter, Instagram, and for those of you that have checked out the Discord server. All of the links for those are in the description below. But we're on the cusp of 3,000 subscribers, which is absolutely amazing. My mind is blown yet again. I didn't think we'd be here, but here we are. And the Expedition Log is chugging along at full force, and there's a ton more content coming. So thanks again for watching, and stay tuned for a ton more. Take care, everybody.